you all today. I'm Angela Stent. I'm the director of the Center for Eurasian, Russian, and East European Studies. And I would like to thank IREX very much for co-sponsoring this event with us and for bringing our Gaidar Fellow to Georgetown. We were just saying that Yegor Gaidar spoke several times at Georgetown in the 90s and the 2000s too. So we have a fondness for him and very good memories of the discussions that we had with him. He was certainly a key figure in Russia's move away from communism towards a market economy. And therefore we were particularly happy when we were asked to host our Gaidar Fellow. I guess this is the first year of the Gaidar Fellowships, and we're very happy that one of those fellows has been at Georgetown, at CERES, since the fall. And so Viatcheslav Evseev is going to be our speaker today. He's the Yegor Gaidar Fellow in Economics and Public Policy. He's the director of the Center for Customs Tariff and Non-Tariff Regulation Research. That's a long title. He has a PhD in International Trade from the Institute of Macroeconomic Research in Moscow. I guess when he first came here, his topic, which obviously had to do with Russia's WTO membership, was still rather tentative, since I think a lot of us weren't sure really whether Russia actually was going to get into the WTO last year, or whether it really wanted to. But those questions were answered in December when Russia indeed was accepted into the WTO. I guess the legislation still has to be ratified in the Russian Duma. There are a few more steps, but basically Russia is in the WTO. And now, of course, it's the United States that has a few legislative problems, because if we don't get rid of the Jackson-Vanik Amendment, our own businesses will be disadvantaged. Anyway, it's a very timely topic, and we're delighted to have you here. So please join me in welcoming.
First of all, I would like to thank CERES and IREX for this opportunity to speak today on this topic, which is really very important for Russia, I think, for economic and social and political development on Russia. As Angela mentioned, the 8th WTO Ministerial Conference approved Russian membership as the WTO last December. Now Russia is really very, very close to join this organization. Nevertheless, domestic consensus on WTO accession is still not found in Russia, and there are a lot of conflicting opinions on advantages and disadvantages of WTO membership in Russia. But let me start my presentation with a short overview of general Russian economy. I guess everybody more or less knows this, but anyway, just to draw your attention. So Russian population is 141 million people. GDP is roughly $1.5 billion in 2010. GDP per capita is $16,000. GDP growth in 2010 was 4%, which is one of the probably highest level in 2000 level worldwide. Inflation rate was 6.9%. Inflation is still one of the major problems for Russian economy, even if the level of inflation decreased dramatically in comparison with the 1990s, when inflation rate sometimes was hundreds of thousands % annually. So 7% is more or less okay. Unemployment rate is 8.2% in 2009, and very important achievement for Russia and Kazakhstan and Belarus in terms of, with respect to the WTO and international trade. It's that in 2010 Russia, Kazakhstan and Belarus established the Customs Union. So now a lot of decisions in the area in trade field are taken together by Russia, Kazakhstan and Belarus. If we have a look at this chart, we can see that the GDP, the level of the rate of GDP. We can see that in the 1990s, after stagnation of 1990s, Russian GDP started growing after the economic crisis of 1998. and increased by 9 times, I think, since 1998 up to the price of 2008. So Russian economy has been progressively increasing all last 10 years. Next slide is about merchandise trade and commercial services trade. It's also important to understand the role of Russia in world economic relations, because WTO is about trade and goods, and about trade and services. Just a couple of key facts. So merchandise export in Russia in 2010 around 400 billions. Merchandise import is around 250 billions. So Russia is a net exporting country. Main destination of exports and main trade partners of Russia is European Union, Ukraine, China, to some extent Turkey and Belarus. But the European Union is really the most important economic partner of Russia with respect to export and to import. So it takes 52% of our Russian export and 40%, around 40% of Russian imports. The United States is also one of the major economic partners. I think the United States take part of 10 main Russian economic partners, but we see that it's not the main market for Russian exports. Nevertheless, Russia, in terms of import, the United States is the 5th importing country to Russia. The principal goods traded is agriculture, fuel, raw materials, mining products, some extent manufactured products. And the share in world trade export is only 2.6%, and share in world total imports is only 1.6%. With respect to commercial services trade, so the role of Russia is less important for Russia commercial services, because around 45 billion annually Russian import exports of Russian commercial services, and around 70 billion import of Russian commercial services. So share in world trade is around 1% for exports and around 2% for imports. But nevertheless, all the statistics make Russia one of the biggest economies in the world. Russia now it's can see it's seventh largest economy in the world, just after Germany and before United Kingdom. If we compare Russia with partners from Greek countries, so we can, of course, China is now one of the biggest players in the world, but the Russian economy can be compared more or less with Brazilian economy in terms of GDP. So that's why accession to the WTO is not only important for Russia, but I think to the world economy and to world trade is also an important point, because Russia was the single biggest economy which stayed outside of the WTO up to now. Now I would like to just a few words about the background of WTO talks. Formal accession negotiations started in June 1993, even if during Soviet times Soviet Union tried to negotiate with GATT, but formally negotiations started in 1993. So the Working Party has met formally 31 times since 1995, and numerous informal meetings also took place. So the Working Party is main mechanism of negotiations with country in accession process. It's very important to, at this level, major commitments are taken by the country. Russia negotiated with 72 members, so it was really difficult to find agreement with all these countries. And 72 members of WTO, they are all Russian most important trade partners. So the draft protocol of accession was adopted by the Working Party on November 10th, so just 2 months ago. And Russian membership is approved on December 15th, as I already said, by Ministerial So after the formal approval for Russian protocol, for the Russian protocol of accession, Russia has 220 days to ratify this agreement. So we can calculate the Russia need to ratify the agreement before July 2023. So 18 years of trade talk. It's the longest after this period. It's longest in the history of the WTO. 72 members involved, and a very huge accession package, which contains 2,000 pages. Here you can see key actors, key players, and negotiations. So on the left picture, in the left picture you can see Maxim Medvedkov, who is on the right. It's a key negotiator from Russia. He got a T-shirt, very nice. Pascal Lamy in the middle, and on the left it's Stephanie Johansson, the head of working group. And here is the Minister of Economic Development, Elvira Nabiulina, and Pascal Lamy on December 16th after approval of the Russian membership. I think that everybody was very happy. Now let's talk about advantages and the risk or disadvantages of WTO membership. So what kind of positive impact WTO membership can have on the domestic economy? Just to speak about it, I would like to say that there is no comprehensive research in Russia about consequences, about the impact of WTO accession on Russian economy. So it's some researches were made by the World Bank, by IMF, by several trade associations in Russia, but there is no comprehensive research. It's not because of Russia. It's not very unique for Russia because I think most of countries members of the WTO they don't have a full scale assessment of the impact of the WTO on economy. It's very difficult, very complicated to assess the real impact of the WTO on economy. But many experts agree that WTO will one of the most important source of gains from WTO accession is increase in foreign direct investment to Russia, and it's really important. Probably the vast majority of households will gain from WTO accession, because WTO accession also means decrease of customs duty, and for Russia it's one of the Russia traditionally used customs duty as an instrument of protection of Russian market, but high duties means high prices. So for common Russians, for people, for households, decrease of customs duty will mean will mean decrease of prices to goods, to services. Of course, one of the possible positive impact of the WTO accession is that WTO accession will encourage modernization of the Russian economy. So it can help to bring new technologies, new goods, and new partnerships, and new spare parts for Russian companies. So it's really considered to be one of the most important advantages. Another probably more theoretic than practical advantage is that WTO accession is an important step toward an open economy model of development. It's interesting to point, probably to draw attention to this point, because all this 18 years of negotiation, it was, I would say, struggle fight between protectionism and free trade. It was really the two concepts of economic development who were in competition all this time, and now probably we can say that open economy model will provide protectionist model. I think it's one of the really very important achievements for Russia. Some other positive impacts. It's WTO accession will increase transparency, stability of governmental decision making, and will encourage protection of intellectual property rights. That's more important, I think, especially for American and for European partners. And in the long term and the medium term, Russian economy, the GDP will probably grow according to different researchers from 7 to 11 or 15% annually. But it's not difficult to say. What WTO accession will bring to export, for Russian export? Of course, Russian exporters can benefit from MFN, its most favored nation, national treatment. It's one of the most basics of the WTO principles, which means that no discrimination should be applied against Russian companies, and the Russian government will have means to protect Russian companies abroad. According to statistics provided by the Ministry of Economy, average annual loss from discrimination abroad is over $2 billion for Russian companies. And access to the dispute settlement system of the WTO will, of course, help to Russian companies, exporting companies, will help to protect their interests to increase market access. But this advantage, I would say, will concern only limited number of industries, like steel industry, chemical industries, fertilizer industry. For main items of Russian export, oil and gas, it will not apply because these items are not discriminated. But we will discuss it later. So, WTO accession, of course, will create some possibility to ease market access to Russian telecom, transport, and energy sector companies. And another important thing for Russia is that Russia will be able to work with all foreign partners on establishing WTO rules in the future. But the question which I think should be discussed and which is very discussed in Russia, because many Russian industries, many Russian companies say that we don't need to be in the WTO because we are pretty well without WTO. Of course, some industries that I mentioned, steel industry, fertilizer producers, chemical industry, they are discriminated abroad, but if we compare the rate of these industries to overall Russian economy, it's not very high. But being outside of the WTO provided Russia with free hands to use customs tariff, non-tariff measures as in trade policy regulation. And Russia really very actively used this instrument and foreign trade customs tariff. And around 70 and 90 decisions annually were taken to protect Russian companies. So just to explain, because when country becomes a member of the WTO, this country cannot, the customs tariff abounds, so the country cannot increase tariffs. Russia now being in the WTO, being outside the WTO, Russia could change tariff, adjust tariffs as it wanted. WTO accession also means restrictions on subsidies, because in the WTO there is a lot of rules on subsidies, and overall trend in WTO negotiations is to decrease level of subsidies. But for Russian economy, for Russian companies, which many of which is still in transition, governmental subsidies play and still play a very, very important role, especially for agricultural sector, for car industry, aviation, space industry, and some other industries. In addition, Russian government could use export subsidies, export promotion subsidies, which is also forbidden in the WTO. So being in the WTO, Russian industries and Russian companies will not be able to get subsidies from the government at the level existing now. And another important achievement that no restriction, not achievement, but another important thing for the Russian government, no restrictions on trade-related investment measures were applied on Russia being outside the WTO. And this instrument was very important for the Russian government to promote foreign investment, especially in car industry. So what the government did several years ago, they raised customs tariff for cars. Now it's 30 to 35%. It was taking into account that Russian car market is one of the booming, one of the most interesting worldwide. So it helped to bring foreign investors in Russia to build plants, car assembly, and to promote car industry in Russia. So the WTO prohibit restrictions related to this trade related to investment. As I mentioned already, so main Russian export goods were not subject to any discrimination abroad. Oil and gas, you know that oil and gas altogether give around 70% of revenues for the federal budget. So it's really very important. But of course, Russia is one of the leading exporters of raw materials, and all our major trade partners, they need raw materials. So not discriminated against. The raw materials are not items which are discriminated. Another achievement, another advantage being outside of the WTO, that it's not very fair, but since major Russian trade partners are members of the WTO, Russia could benefit from all rules and except of anti-dumping, safeguard investigation. Russia could benefit from this policy. These members need to comply with WTO rules. But being outside WTO, we could anyway benefit from WTO. This slide, the European Commission every year they provide, they're doing research, they're doing a report on potentially trade restrictive measures worldwide. And we can see from this slide that Russia is really on the top of with 73 potentially restrictive measures applied in 2010. Russia can compete on the Argentina and some other countries like Indonesia maybe, in terms of protectionism. So Russia is really one of the leading countries. So if you compare with the United States, only 25 measures. So European Union, they also do protectionist measures. So the question which is now really discussed in Russia, even if the formal decision of the WTO was already made, that Russia really needs to join the WTO. And it's not, it was not broadcasted, but you know, some Russian companies, some people from Russian companies came to Geneva on December 16th, and they manifested just in front of the main building, saying that no WTO means unemployment, WTO means collapse of the Russian economy. And I was a little bit surprised that no one shows these messages in Russia or abroad. It's so as I said in the beginning, it's a lot of conflicting opinions now in Russia in terms with respect to do Russia really need to join or not. So several industries sent petitions to the Russian government trying to stop accession, but anyway, it's difficult to predict. So how will different sectors, in order to have an objective answer to this question, does Russia really need to join or not? It's we need to have more information, of course, of how different sectors of the Russian economy will be impacted. But we can say that no comprehensive research on the impact of the WTO for Russia was made. Many industrial sectors in agriculture are thought to be serious achievements, especially agriculture, and especially sectors like industrial sectors in Russia, like car industry, like agricultural machinery, like aviation and space industry. They can be really achievement. And now that agriculture is one of the sectors which can be really dangerous, because European Union, our most important trade partners, they will try to get access to the Russian market. So national bank and insurance sectors will not be able to compete with global leaders, with global banks. So so probably it will mean that, especially for insurance sector, it will be difficult really to keep independence of the sector for Russia. Well, another important point to draw your attention that in Russia there is very few experts on WTO issues. A lot of expertise and understanding of the WTO system in the private sector and public sector will not allow Russia to benefit from WTO accession immediately. So Russia will need at least 3, 5, maybe 10 years to grow the experts, to educate people, to educate lawyers, to educate companies, trade associations, how benefit from the WTO. Because the overall system of regulation in the WTO is very complex, it's very broad, and if we compare Russia with China, even China, which became a member of the WTO 10 years ago, they still need, when China is challenged by some foreign partners, they still need to hire lawyers or experts in Europe or in the United States. So to have national expertise on the WTO related issues, it's very costly, it takes time. So no clear answer how will household income be affected, because medium and small business, it's believed that medium and small business will benefit from the WTO, but no really assessment or to the extent of this influence. And one of the really important questions and issues which is discussed in Russia is that Russian sovereignty can be at stake after the WTO accession, because the WTO system can influence national law regulation, and many people just think that probably it's too much if we will have someone abroad who will really impact decision of national government. So that's Russia really needed right now. Many industries in private sector say no, government say yes. Even if different ministries and federal services, I would say, can have different position, but the government says yes. Citizens no clear position at all, and so what will next president decide after the March 2012 elections? It's important. So we'll try to because certification, I don't think that certification process will be done before the presidential elections. So really our next president, probably Vladimir Putin, will decide Russian membership in WTO. So I would like, probably at this slide, I would like to stop. If you have any questions, I have a lot of slides more with technical information on Russian commitments, but I think it's all.
Thank you very much. Before I throw it over to other questions, a comment and a question. I was very interested in what you said about car assemblies. So in November, as part of the Valdai Discussion Club, we went to Kaluga, and they took us around Volvo and Volkswagen factories, and we asked them which are car assembly factories, and it's been obviously a very profitable area for Russia, and we said, what's going to happen after WTO accession? And they didn't seem to have a very clear idea, or they didn't want to talk about it. So that, I think, emphasizes, reinforces what you said. Question to you. WTO accession is the first step towards OECD membership. Would you like to say something about that and what the benefits for Russia would be of joining the OECD?
But joining the negotiations on joining the OECD is already has been on the way. So I think that accession to the WTO and to OECD will first of all, it's important, for image of Russia abroad for foreign investors. Being the OECD, being the WTO means that Russian rules, Russian regulations comply with international standards and international rules. So it's a very good sign for foreign investors to come to Russia to invest. Russia economy ready for foreign investment, foreign technology. Of course, I think that Russian accession to the WTO will encourage Russian accession to the OECD. I know that the government is really interested to join the OECD.
You want to field your own questions?
was there a domestic analysis of the economic impact of the customs union? Has that been analyzed any more fully, any more detail?
Not really. Not really. But you know, the customs union was created very, I would say, rapidly. So decisions were taken in 1 year or 2 years. Russia needed only 2 years to create the customs union. I don't think that, at least I didn't see it, any kind of comprehensive research of establishment of the customs union on Russian, Kazakh, and Belarus economy. But we can say, after analyzing the first year of the customs union establishment, that an average GDP of Russia, Belarus, and Kazakhstan increased. But to what extent it's thanks to customs union or to just economic growth, general economic growth, I think it's difficult to say. There is some statistics saying that trade between countries, between Russia, Belarus, and Kazakhstan also increased after the creation of the customs union, but I just can't say exact rate of increase of trade between the countries. But the statistic is available. I know that another important point to the customs union, because now Russia, Kazakhstan, and Belarus, when goods and services are imported to the customs union, all customs duties are shared between the countries in a several proportion established by the customs union agreement. And according to the statistics of the Russian Federal Customs Service, Russia invested to Kazakhstan and to Belarus 18 billion of rubles last year. Not invested, but Russia could receive this 18 billion being outside of the customs union, but according to this formula, according to the scheme of customs tariff distribution, so Russia just didn't have this one.
Okay, thank you. I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Harley Balzer, in the government department here at Georgetown. My second question has to do with your point about the Russian government being a major supporter of Russia's joining the WTO. And I guess people here have seen this two different ways. One is that WTO accession is a classic collective action problem. The losers are very clear. Pasca and a few other people are going to suffer from this. The winners are probably equally clear, but a lot more diffuse. The ordinary people, the citizenry isn't really have a strong position. They're going to benefit, but not so much that they're going to go out in the streets and demand WTO accession. So, the positive view of the government is that they understand this collective action problem and are doing something for the good of the country. The less positive view of the government is that this is roughly akin to Brezhnev pinning another Order of Lenin on his jacket. If you're a great power, you have to join the WTO, you have to be an OECD member, that's why you do it. Any thoughts on what the government's motive is?
Yeah, but first of all, government has been negotiating for 18 years. So government really tried to protect national industry, national agriculture for all this period. I think both you mentioned that it can be important from the perspective of political implications of Russia need as a big country. Russia need to be at the WTO, being a member of G8, the G20. Of course, this political aspect plays an important role. But Russian industries heavily lobbied Russian governments not to join the WTO, all this negotiations period. And they still tried to lobby the government not to accede to the WTO. To some extent, I could say that in order to encourage modernization and reforms in Russia, so probably Russia needs to join the WTO, because if you still keep industries which are not able to, which didn't know how to modernize, how to make themselves more efficient for 20 years, probably, but it's my position. probably we don't need to keep these industries any longer. We need to change economic attitudes and model of economic development. As I said, different ministries in Russia take different positions, and there's different opinions on WTO accession. But overall accession, because really Russia initiated very actively, started to push accession last 1 year and a half. It was a political decision, I think, to a large extent. And when political decision were made to join the WTO, so the rest of negotiations were more or less and Russian commitments were achieved more or less quick. Well, I think that the political decision is one. We need to make difference between political level and level of different ministries. The political decision was made by President Medvedev. Was in support of WTO accession, but not all the ministries really agree with what we need it right now, because they are more linked with industries, and industry often say that we don't need WTO. But that's why the question of if Vladimir Putin will in favor of WTO accession or not, will make a critical role, I think, a critical role to the overall process of negotiations.
Independent scholar. First, I have one comment and then question. When we are talking about Russia's WTO accession, I definitely believe that we should consider Vladimir Putin's role in this process. First, when during his presidency, Putin was a big supporter of this idea, and then when he became a prime minister, he was more indifferent about this idea. And now he's quite supportive of this idea. I